After Nero's death in 68 AD, Rome spiraled into one of the most chaotic eras in its history. Within a single year, 4 different men claimed the imperial throne. Roman armies battled one another, the treasury was nearly empty, and much of the capital still lay in ruins after the Great Fire. When Vespasian finally secured the emperorship, he inherited a bankrupt city, an angry citizen body, and the remains of Nero's vast, golden house, complete with an artificial lake that consumed prime space in Rome's center. Vespasian needed a massive public project, one that would restore order, wipe away Nero's memory, and reassure the people that stability had returned. He chose to build a new amphitheater on the drained lake, a structure that would later become the Colosseum. It is now 70 AD. Jerusalem's air hangs heavy with smoke and the odor of death. After a devastating months-long siege, the city burns. Roman troops, wild with victory, pour through streets and alleys. The great temple, Judaism's holiest place, blazes. Its gold-plated panels melt like wax while priests are slaughtered at their posts. Civilians are butchered or herded toward the slave markets. Amid the destruction, legionaries drag away their greatest treasure, sacred vessels, silver trumpets, and a solid gold menorah, the spiritual symbol of a conquered people. To understand why the Colosseum exists at all, we must revisit the turmoil that preceded it. Welcome to Rome in 68 AD, a city ready to explode. For over 10 years it had been dominated by Nero, a ruler whose name became synonymous with excess and cruelty. In 64 AD, a fire had consumed much of the capital. Whispers spread that Nero himself set the blaze, perhaps even playing his lyre as the flames devoured the city, all to clear ground for a new palace. Whether true or not, the rumor stuck. On the ashes of destroyed homes, Nero began constructing his Domus Aurea, or Golden House, sprawling across nearly 200 acres of central Rome. It wasn't simply a palace but a private kingdom, complete with forests, vineyards, and a vast artificial lake built atop what had once been neighborhoods. Its chambers glittered with gold and gemstones. For the impoverished people now crammed into cramped quarters, this palace embodied Nero's indifference, an extravagant monument built on their misery. Public anger finally erupted. In 68 AD, abandoned by his guards and declared an enemy of the state, Nero took his own life. But his death brought no calm. Instead, it created a power vacuum, plunging Rome into one of its darkest years, the year of the 4 emperors. In a single brutal cycle, 4 generals, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and ultimately Vespasian, seized power, each supported by his own army. Rome turned on itself. Legions marched on the capital and fought fellow Romans. The city became a battleground. The treasury was drained dry, and the people lived in fear. From this turmoil emerged Vespasian, a hardened commander with humble origins, unlike Nero's aristocratic upbringing. He rose through military service. When civil war broke out, he was far from Rome in Judea, crushing a large rebellion. As disorder grew, his legions proclaimed him emperor. By late 69 AD, his final rival had fallen, and the Senate confirmed him as ruler. What he inherited was dire: a bankrupt empire, decaying infrastructure, and a distrustful populace. Vespasian realized he needed to rebuild not just the city but public confidence. He needed to restore the treasury and win over the people. To accomplish that, he required 2 things: a grand military success and an enormous supply of money. Both waited in the east, in the besieged city of Jerusalem. While Vespasian consolidated power in Rome, he left his eldest son Titus to finish the Judean campaign. The First Jewish-Roman War had erupted in fury against Roman corruption and oppression. By 70 AD, the rebels were confined to their final stronghold, Jerusalem. What followed became one of history's most horrific sieges. Titus arrived with a massive force and encircled the city just before Passover, trapping countless pilgrims inside. More mouths to feed while no supplies could enter. Inside, starvation reached unimaginable levels. Jewish factions fought each other as fiercely as they battled the Romans. The historian Flavius Josephus, a former rebel commander who defected, documented the horror. He described starvation so severe that people chewed leather straps to survive. Gangs ransacked houses in search of crumbs. In one chilling account, A mother, maddened by hunger, killed and cooked her infant son. Outside, the Romans were equally merciless. Josephus claimed that hundreds of escapees were captured daily, tortured, scourged, and crucified in plain view as a warning. After months, Roman forces breached the defenses. The last stand occurred at the Temple Mount. Though Titus may have wished to spare the sanctuary, in the chaos a soldier hurled a torch inside. What followed was a massacre. Josephus wrote that corpses filled the grounds so thickly that soldiers had to climb over them while pursuing survivors. The true prize was the temple treasury. For generations, Jews throughout the world had contributed wealth to the temple. It functioned as a national bank. Roman troops seized everything, stripping gold from gates, carrying off sacred vessels, including the seven-branched golden menorah. The haul was so vast that when the captured gold hit the Eastern markets, its value reportedly dropped by half. Josephus claimed 97,000 survivors were enslaved, a figure many historians consider exaggerated but agree was at least in the tens of thousands. These captives were shipped across the empire, many bound for Rome itself. For Vespasian, the war brought everything he needed. Titus returned a hero, celebrated with a lavish triumphal parade through Rome, displaying the temple's treasures. And now Vespasian had the wealth of a conquered people, and the perfect plan to reshape Rome. His idea was politically brilliant. He would erase Nero's infamous Golden House, a hated emblem of self-indulgence, and construct something for the public in its place. He specifically targeted Nero's artificial lake. Draining it, he ordered a mammoth amphitheater built on its site, a gift to the citizens. It would bear the family name as the Flavian Amphitheater, though history knows it as the Colosseum, likely named for a colossal statue of Nero that once stood nearby. Construction began around 72 AD. A reconstructed inscription tells us precisely how it was financed. The Emperor Vespasian ordered this new amphitheater built from the spoils of his generals. The Jewish war paid for it directly. The war also supplied labor. While Roman engineers, architects, and artisans designed and supervised the project, much of the backbreaking work fell to prisoners. Many scholars believe tens of thousands of Jewish captives were forced into Vespasian's building initiatives, including the Colosseum. Picture the scene: thousands of slaves cutting 4-ton blocks of travertine from quarries near Tiber, modern Tivoli, 18 miles away. They hauled the stones to the river, loaded them onto barges, floated them to Rome, and dragged them to the construction grounds. It was deadly labor, day after day, building a monument to their own defeat, paid for by the treasures of their ruined temple. The engineering was groundbreaking. Roman mastery of concrete and arches allowed for a structure both durable and elegant. 80 ground-level entrances, called vomitoria, enabled 50,000 spectators to enter or exit within minutes. Seating reflected Rome's rigid social order: emperor and senators at the front, wealthy citizens behind them, and the poor, foreigners, and women at the uppermost levels. The amphitheater was a stone representation of Roman hierarchy. Vespasian, the seasoned soldier, died in 79 AD before the project was finished. His son Titus, Jerusalem's conqueror, completed it and prepared a spectacular inauguration. In 80 AD, the Flavian Amphitheater opened with 100 consecutive days of games, an event unmatched in Rome's history. It was a festival of state-sponsored violence, all free to the public. What did a day at the games look like? Mornings featured venations, wild beast hunts, using animals from across the empire: lions, tigers, elephants, bears, even rhinos. Cassius Dio recorded that over 9,000 animals died during the inaugural celebrations alone. Midday was devoted to executions. Criminals and prisoners of war were thrown to animals, burned, crucified, or forced into theatrical myths that ended with real, gruesome deaths. The afternoon brought the main attraction: gladiators. Often slaves or prisoners, the best fighters became celebrities. Since they were investments, not all bouts ended in death, but fatal fights remained the ultimate thrill. Some accounts claim Titus even staged a mock naval battle by flooding the arena floor and bringing in trained aquatic creatures before ships crewed by condemned men clashed. This was more than spectacle, it was politics. The satirist Juvenal would later call it panem et circenses, bread and circuses. Free food and entertainment kept the masses distracted and loyal. The games reminded citizens of the emperor's generosity, let them channel violent urges in a controlled environment, and vividly demonstrated the consequences of defying Rome. The Colosseum was not merely architecture, it was propaganda. For nearly 4 centuries, the amphitheater hosted Rome's spectacles, astonishing displays and horrific bloodshed. Modern estimates suggest hundreds of thousands of people, and perhaps over 1 million animals, died inside. Its decline paralleled that of the empire itself. As Christianity rose from a persecuted minority to state religion, its leaders increasingly condemned the brutality. Emperor Constantine attempted to discourage the contests, but public appetite persisted. The end of gladiatorial combat is often associated with an event in 404 AD, when a monk named Telemachus allegedly threw himself into the arena to stop a fight and was stoned by the crowd. Shocked, the emperor reportedly banned the games. Whether the tale is true or not, it reflects a genuine shift in Roman values. Animal hunts persisted for another century. When the Western Empire collapsed, the Colosseum lost its purpose. Earthquakes damaged it, especially a massive one in 1349 that destroyed the entire southern outer wall, leaving the iconic ruin. For centuries, it was looted for stone to build churches and palaces, used as housing, workshops, and even a fortress. Over time, its image changed from pagan arena to symbol of ancient grandeur. The church later consecrated it as a memorial to Christian martyrs believed to have died there, whether or not that was historically accurate. Today, the Colosseum stands as Rome's defining monument, a magnificent ruin displaying the brilliance of Roman engineering. Yet its legacy is double-edged. Beneath its beauty lie the ashes of Jerusalem, the treasures that funded it, the captives who built it, and the uncountable lives taken for entertainment. The Colosseum is more than an ancient arena, it is a reminder of how empire, power, spectacle, and cruelty can intertwine. To truly understand the past, we must look not only at the structures that endure but also at the blood and suffering beneath their foundations.